Hey, have you ever been confused about whether to say you're at the party or in the party? You're not alone. Prepositions are these tiny little words that can cause some big headaches for English learners. But you know what? Don't worry, because in this explainer, we're going to make them a whole lot less confusing.
Just take a look at this. The sentences are almost exactly the same, right? But the feeling is completely different. Shouting at my brother, well, that sounds like you're angry. But shouting for my brother, that sounds supportive, like you're cheering him on. That huge shift in meaning all comes down to one tiny word. And that, my friends, is the power of a preposition.
So we've seen just how powerful they can be, but what exactly is a preposition? Let's get right to it and really understand what their job is in a sentence.
Honestly, I like to think of a preposition as a GPS for your sentence. It's the word that shows the relationship between different things. It tells you where something is, when something's happening, or which direction it's going. It's kind of like the glue that holds all the important pieces together. Okay, here's the classic example we all learn in school. The book is on the table. That little word on, that's our preposition. It's connecting the book to the table and telling us exactly where it is. If you take it out, the book is the table is, well, it's a much weirder sentence, isn't it? All right, now that we know what they are, let's dive into their two most common jobs, telling us where and when. These are the prepositions that really help us set the scene for any story or description. These are probably some of the first prepositions you ever learned, and for a good reason. Words like in, on, under, and near are absolutely essential for describing the world around us. They literally paint a picture with words, telling whoever's listening exactly where things are located. For example, the cat is under the chair. The preposition under gives us that exact location. We immediately know the cat isn't on the chair or next to it. It's a super simple word, but it creates such a clear image in our heads. So let's switch gears from where to when. Now this is where things can get a little bit tricky for a lot of people. English has some pretty specific rules here. You can think of it like a pyramid. We use at for the most specific points, like an exact time. We use on for bigger chunks, like days and dates, and we use in for the biggest blocks of time, like months and years. So, you would say your class starts at 10 o'clock, you have a meeting on Monday, and you were born in 1995. Seriously, getting the hang of this at, on, in rule for time is one of the fastest ways to make your English sound so much more natural. Okay, so prepositions cover where and when, but that's not all they do. They also help us explain the how and the why. Let's take a look at the prepositions that describe actions and their purpose. We can break these action prepositions into three simple groups. You've got some that show movement, like to or from. Then there are others that explain the method, how you do something, with words like by or with. And finally, you have prepositions that give us a reason, using words like for or because of. Let's look at movement. In the sentence, she went to school. That little word to is doing all the heavy lifting. It's pointing to her destination. It answers the question, so where was she going? And now for method. When we say he came by bus, the preposition by tells us how he traveled. It's the exact same logic as saying you cut an apple with a knife. The preposition is just explaining the tool or the method that you used.
So even with all these rules, prepositions can still be a bit tricky, mostly because of some common exceptions and phrases. Let's go over a couple of the biggest mistakes so you can avoid them and make your English sound even better. This is a mistake I hear all the time. I get it. It feels logical to say married with, but in English, the correct phrase is always married to. This is what we call a collocation, just a pair of words that always hang out together. This is one you just have to memorize. Married to. It's a small fix that makes a huge difference. Here's another common trap, and it's with the verb discuss. Think about it. The word discuss already means to talk about something. So if you add about after it, you're basically saying it twice. You don't discuss about the plan, you simply discuss the plan. Some verbs just don't need a preposition. Okay, we've covered a lot, from the very basics all the way to some common mistakes. So let's bring it all together and go over the key things to remember that will really help you use prepositions with confidence. If you only remember three things, make it these. First, prepositions are small, but they are incredibly important. Second, using the wrong one can completely change what you're trying to say. Remember the difference between shouting at someone and shouting for them? And finally, there's no magic secret. Practice really is the only way to master them.
At the end of the day, that's what prepositions do. They connect your words and your ideas together so they make sense. Getting them right isn't just about being correct on a test, it's about sounding natural, fluent, and confident when you speak. So think about the next English conversation you're going to have. How will you use these powerful little words to make yourself understood?